Hi, welcome back to our show. With me is Davy Jones and Micky Dolenz, also known as part of
half
the Monkees. Half the Monkees, 50% of the Monkees. Right? This is the top half or the bottom half? This is the top half.
Well, we all share the role. You know, there is a foundation there, and we've all worked on it many, many times over the years. But I think we're all equal partners.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Absent or present.
Absent or present. Yeah.
Now, everybody knows how successful you were in the '60s, but I was just learning. Like, for instance, Micky, you have a great traditional background in the entertainment world. Your family was involved in entertainment.
Yeah, my father was an actor and a singer, and I was under contract to Howard Hughes. My mom was a singer and an actress until she got married and had kids. So yeah, I've second generation. I'm second generation. My daughter's third generation. My first series, I was 10.
I used to watch Micky when I was a little boy.
Really?
I enjoyed his show, Circus Boy. It was one of my favorites. That was very.
What was the show?
Thanks.
Circus Boy.
Circus Boy.
Yeah.
And that was a show in England?
Yeah.
No,
it was
America.
here in the States. Before your time.
It was the biggest. You know, it was
before your time.
It's a show.
Early 50s, mid
50s.
I was Circus Boy.
You were the Circus Boy.
I was a circus boy.
He was with little blonde curly hair.
Right.
You know.
Did you do your own stunts?
Some, yeah, not the dangerous.
When you're young, you
some of
can
the
do all
ones.
your own stunts. Just when you get older, you know.
Yeah.
Even now, we just pay people to trash the rooms. You know, we don't do it ourselves anymore.
We're too busy, on the internet talking to our stockbrokers. Get a college kid to trash your room for about $75 now. Keeps the image up.
How did the Monkees come about? I mean, I know you've told us a few times.
Well, I think it was all to do with the timing. The Beatles were very, very, very successful, and the American producers that were part of our team decided that hey, we got to put four guys together, put them on TV every week. Sort of like put a hard day's night on with a story and a bit of music. And they found Micky, and they found myself. I was on Broadway at the time. Micky had television experience. Peter and Mike. They were involved with different groups and good musicians, and they put us all together, and it worked. They auditioned about 450 kids, and we were the lucky ones.
Did you make any money at that time doing that show?
You know something? I always say it's not about money. It's about dollars and cents. At the end of the day, are very important. But we made very little. We made $450 a week doing the Monkees. But since then, things have changed, and we've gone on to be able to, demand a certain price for our talent, and that's
$350.
Yeah,
right.
Now, when did you know that the Monkees were going to be a success?
Well, the first inkling I got, I think, was the Christmas of the first year after the show was on the air. We were still filming every day and weren't going out much into the public. The show had been on the air about 3 months, I guess, September to December, and I was out Christmas shopping, as I did every year in the Valley in L.A., and I walked into a mall, my local mall that I always went to Christmas shop, and all of a sudden there was people screaming and running at me, and I thought it was a fire. And so I turned around and I ran outside to get outside the building, and then turned back around and realized that they were all running at me. And that was the first inkling I had that it was a successful show. But it wasn't really till years later, till like '86, that I realized what an impact it had had on the cultural landscape of American pop culture.
I think having been child performers, both Micky and myself, I was on Broadway when I was 15 years old in a show called Oliver. I played the Artful Dodger. And, once you've grown up with this kind of sort of affection, you take it for granted. I never felt like I was sort of like different when the Monkees started than I was in the school play. To me, I was always sort of famous. I was always a captain of the cricket team and the football team and all those things. So I never really got a big head about it. It was just part of my process. I knew I was going to be doing this. I knew I was going to be doing that. But TV, he'd had a lot of experience in TV. And Micky's a great director and a great writer, He's got stuff happening all over the place, new series and things that he's developed and things that he's doing. And so we used each other's talents, and we relied on each other at the time. Peter and Micky not so savvy. Peter and Mike not so savvy in the TV process.
Davy and I hit it off immediately. I remember the screen test that we did, and I'd only just met you. I mean, it couldn't have been more than a couple of hours, but because of our theatrical and cinematic background.
Well, in fact, at that particular point, when we knew we had the show, we got a house together in Benedict Canyon, And we, you know, like 6 weeks before the show ever came on the air, we'd filmed the first episode. And we didn't think about hit records or TV or anything because we'd had success. I was on Broadway, Micky had his own TV series. We're driving along Benedict Canyon, and all of a sudden, Last Train to Clarksville came on. Do you remember that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Last Train to Clarksville came on the radio.
We looked at each other.
And we stopped the car, and we got out, we're dancing, and we're going around there. Oh, God, we got a record on the radio. But little did we know, you know, that record was going to #1, and when the show hit the air, September the 12th, 1966, our record was #1.
A lot of people, I think, that for that reason, misunderstand that the Monkees was essentially a television show about a group like the Beatles, so that wanted to be like the Beatles. We had posters of the Beatles in our apartment, and it was about all the groups in America at the time, all those kids in their garages that were aspiring to be famous. And if you watch the old show, we never made it on the show. We were always the underdog. We were always trying to make it, and that was one of the elements of the show that a lot of people, I think, didn't notice, is that on the Monkees, we never made it. We were always the underdog. It was one of the things that was charming about it. We were always trying. We were always struggling to make it, but never did on the show.
Anybody could do it. They were all trying too. The kids out there identified. And the groups and the people that come up to us now, I mean, successful musicians, and say, if it wasn't for you, if it wasn't for what you were doing, that we would never have been musicians. You know, I'm not your stepping stone. You know, it's got 4 chords, bum, 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 bum. You know, basic chords. And that's how they all learned it, you know.
We were also blessed, I think, by having this stable of songwriters who at the time were working at the West Coast equivalent of the Brill Building, and in New York at the Brill
Carole
Building.
King, Neil Diamond, Harry Nilsson, Neil Sedaka, Carol Bayer Sager, Lieber and Stoller, Barry Mann, Cynthia Wilde, Tommy Boyce and Bobby Hart, Sis and Roebuck, Lord and Taylor, Neiman Marcus.
A little bit of talent.
They all wrote songs for us.
Yeah, and they were staff writers for the record company, for the publishing company, and they ended up, you know, we recorded some of the best tunes, I think, that those writers.
Who wrote Last Train to Clarksville?
Boyce and Hart.
And then Neil Diamond wrote I'm a Believer. John Stewart
and Little
wrote,
Bit Me, Little Bit You.
Yeah, and Daydream Believer. We had Lieber and Stoller wrote, you know. In fact, we don't do that one in the show anymore. We should do D.W. Washburn. D.W. Washburn.
Harry Nilsson had his first hit with us.
Which was?
Harry, Cuddly Toy. His first recorded record with us. He was working at a bank at the time.
It's very interesting, you know. We have quite a difficult problem when we come to put a show together, because we are spontaneous in our dialogue and things that we do on stage. We've got to have set tunes and we've got to play the hits. But if you look down the hits, we have like 12 hits that are very, very recognizable, and we could actually do that show all the time. But being artists, being adventurers, we tend to change a lot of the material, and even if we put it in different order, so that we stay fresh.
Let's talk about your show. You're at the MGM.
Yeah, the MGM.
Okay.